whole idea of, somebody created criteria. Somebody thought it was a good idea. They said, oh, you're certified, kind of thing. And now it's a thing, right? And people actually live and die by it. And can't we do that with CROs? Where basically we can like certify the CROs, at least their quality management system to an extent, so that all you have to do is look at the study specific stuff. And that just drastically cuts down the amount of time and effort and like multiple people going in for 3 days at a time when they only need 4 hours, you know? Okay, maybe not that drastic, but it's just an idea. Meta certified.
I love it.
I don't know how to make it happen. And I don't know how anybody else will buy into it, but it's just an idea.
Let's plant the seed.
Yeah. I say we totally plant that seed, because this is some
Right.
bullshit right here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Again, and especially because a lot of like universities and, especially like phase 1 locations and that kind of thing, that's all they do is phase 1 work kind of thing. So if they become like meta certified, at least, you can get it to an extent kind of thing, right?
Right.
That would be such a big moneymaker. We could charge like that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, it's and I think and again, like I don't exactly know how to do it where the health authorities would be okay with it. But why not, right? Let's disrupt it. Let's be disruptors in the audit space. It's just so it's such
I'm
an innovator.
all for being the disruptor, because
I know you like being disruptors. Yeah.
the way that yeah. But I mean, the way that we do it now is so fucking, oh my god. Like,
it's so monotonous. Everybody is audit weary. And it's one of those things where it's exhausting for everybody.
yeah.
So like why not?
You're brilliant.
I think that we should talk with we're already working with a group that is working on creating their own certification standards.
Yeah.
So why can't we piggyback that?
And actually that was one of the things, like when you were talking about the vendor stuff, like the vendor qualifications, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
The vendor qualification pieces. So like that's where it was just like why not elsewhere too, kind of thing. Because how many times, like I looked at somebody else's like audit agenda today and I just went, ugh, this is not what I asked for, because this is the boilerplate. And this gets into what you and I were talking about, and basically I was ranting about earlier this week in terms of like audits have become so commoditized,
right,
that it really is it becomes like it becomes the boy that cried wolf.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you don't want people to be afraid of it. Like, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm like getting at, but it's that thing. It's like, you hear it all the time. It's like, wah, 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 audit. It has no, I have really been at a loss to find the value aside from a paycheck. I mean, audits are they're my retirement plan.
Right.
You know, I'll retire. I'll keep my shingle up. I'll do like 4 or 5 a year, just basically cover my tax base. And then I'm good. You know, get somebody else to pay, if I have to go to, North Carolina, I can get somebody else to pay for my travel there, spend 2 weeks there instead of, I may have only been at the auto for 2 days, but still got to get home,
Well, and the thing about, okay, so thinking about commoditizing it, like, are you certifying the CROs or are you certifying the sites?
We can do it for everybody.
Right. Because the funny thing is, that's one of the things that I was thinking about yesterday and this morning is, I was going to bring it up with Janice later today in our one-on-one about, putting out there that it's time to start planning for next year's audits. Like, why the fuck does everybody wait until the last goddamn minute? We always do that. And and that's something that we recommend from a quality standpoint is like set your audit calendar at the beginning of the year so that you're not scrambling in Q4 and every year it's the same fucking people scrambling in Q4 every year.
The same sponsors or the same vendor, like third parties?
Both, because and really it is both, because the sponsors are supposed to be responsible for oversight of the CROs. And so if the CROs aren't saying, hey, we need to do this, then that's kind of on them, but it's also kind of on the sponsor, because the sponsor is supposed to have oversight, and that's not a surprise. Like, that's not, it's kind of like we were talking about, it's the E in rep.
Give me an E. I
We
can't see
know
my foot.
the evaluation
my foot. Give me an E.
there, right?
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Give me an R. You can't see my leg. Here we go. You go forward, I go forward. We touch. We're M.
There you go. But it's like everybody has responsibility for this stuff,
right?
And we're not doing it,
right? Yeah.
And it's the same song and dance. At the end of the year, it's the same scramble,
right?
And you're absolutely right. If there were standardization across the board, what would that look like?
It would look like a lot of money.
Right.
Because I'm bringing it back to the ISO piece, right? Where they're coming up with all kinds of standards, all kinds of 13,653 or 9,000, 9,027 or whatever the hell number they're up to. They have a ton, so to your point, really kind of what I can see is like the quality management certification, and that can translate to sites or CROs. We can think of other things, like where, I don't know. I was thinking we would have a different, when I first started the talk, when I first started these sentences, I was thinking we would have like a site certification and a CRO certification, but really like what you can certify is the company. So it's really about the QMS level, because the sponsors, to your point, are still going to have to like look at the specific things for them as part of their oversight. But if you have the base taken care of, that's, base meaning the QMS, because remember how we were talking about like the different pillars we had at one point, and then we had that we drew the same thing basically, where you have like the base of QMS all the way through, but then you have like the PV, the clinical, the REMS, like that baseline runs all the way through the company regardless of what they do. So again, if we can certify at that level, why not? How do we get this IP? Like trademark it, IP it, all that kind of good stuff.
How do we market what?
How do we get this? Like, I mean, we can turn this into like, IP and that kind of thing. So intellectual property, trademark.
I was going in other directions with our acronyms on IP, and I was like, what is she? Like, now I got it.
Right. Put the package offering together.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking it through, the only thing it's not even concerning, but it's something for it to be aware of, is that it might impact insurance.
We have insurance that we've been paying for 5 years because of places like your Encore that required insurance. And
yeah, because if you certify something and then somebody fucks it up, then that's not good.
Well, okay, but if we make sure that our end is on the up and up, if somebody else screws up, that's not on us.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So there you go. That's an idea.
I love that idea.
Same. I think Metis would go to the next level if we did that.
Yeah.
New logos, new Metis certified logos.
All right. So I'll work on manifesting that. We'll have to start building the program, like, because you guys are going to write it.
But it's already in progress, right? Like we already have.
It's not hard to do. Yeah.
Right. We already have the skeleton for it. We're not.
Cool.
Because everybody's doing the same shit. That's part of the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to improve it, right?
Well, yeah.
I was like, wait, we're going to do everything everybody else is doing? Like, what's the point?
No.
Okay, awesome.
But if we do it and get people certified, then they don't have to do it. And the value for them is less resources utilized. And for the sponsor, at least for the people being audited, it's less resources being sucked up because of those things.
Right.
Because you don't have to do it every single audit. And then there's the sponsors who, instead of sending someone to an audit for 3 days, it's only a day and a half or something like that.
And it doesn't even have to be a day and a half, like, because this is something that we faced in, so I've been doing a lot of reflection on what Metis, like where Metis has been in the last 5 years.
Right.
And, I knew that I wanted the model to be work from home, and with the hope that our primary work would not be travel, that would be work from home. And then, we can be anywhere. We can be, we're not linked to a single anything, right? Like we're not linked to a single point. And, some people thought that that was, really crazy. And then the pandemic happened, and, remote audits became a lot more, I hesitate to say commonplace, but it became more
accepted.
And then there was the article that I sent out 2 weeks ago about having patients not have to come to the site and the technology behind that and how that all is working out. And, that people are saying that they can do it, but they don't actually, they're building it as they go. And I really feel like that's a piece that we need to consider for moving forward, not just because of the pandemic, but I think that a lot of clinical trials really struggle with enrollment and adherence, despite the advent of things like electronic diaries and, patient trackers that they can take with them and that kind of thing, because of transportation issues to the site.
Right. Especially when you talk about like rare diseases type stuff.
Especially rare diseases.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like rare diseases is one of the bigger pieces that has so many struggles. I'm going to go see if my office is done so I can move in there.
Okay. So you like that idea, Janice?
Yeah, I think when we establish our own system, I think that we would then wouldn't have to like be victims of these, and we could do our pricing. I mean, we wouldn't have to negotiate. It's like, this is our system. I think the only thing that's the question in my head is, do we have to get this approved by an FDA or some kind of like institution?
Right. And that's a piece I don't know.
Mm.
And that's where, my hesitation has been, because it's like, sure, it's that whole idea of, I haven't talked to anybody else about this kind of thing. And I can see a ton of people going, yeah, that'd be awesome if I didn't have to do all that, especially when it comes to the CROs kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how to, again, that positioning piece. It's like, okay, is it a matter of going to the CROs and say, look, we'll certify you kind of thing, and hand over essentially the audit report, for lack of a better term, and have them sell it to the sponsors and saying, look, you don't have to do this part because somebody else already, did that for us kind of thing. And then they can say, hey, we've been meta certified, so your audits are going to be a lot less complicated. So that's kind of the positioning from a CRO perspective, or do we kind of do like a RIC kind of thing, like using that as a model, or maybe it's both, where you have this consortium, and the consortium agrees that this is the standard. And it is then, I'll use RIC as the example. It's RIC certified kind of thing. So that now everybody uses the RIC certified vendors, because it's kind of like, it's almost like the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, or nothing's coming to mind in terms of an example right now.
So I think then the question is, do we wait for Rick or do we create our own, right?
Or we could probably create it for Rick.
We do it for them.
Well, in a way, we are doing it for them, because we are going to be the initial testers and the initial certified group. Right. So
cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where, like, to initially, and then you get certified once a year, recertified once a year, whatever, because again, it's a lot easier to have one company go in for a week or a week and a half, whatever that looks like, depending on how deep dive we go, versus having, 85 companies trying to fight for 2 days over the course of 52 weeks kind of thing, so we got, I got ideas. I'll put them on paper.
Awesome. Let's
figure it out.
Plan.
We'll figure it out.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I love that, because that's all part of what I was just going through in my head, that we need to put out there for, what happens next, and prepping for 2022 is, with our QMS offerings, and we can put that with the QMS offerings and just say, hey, this is something else that we offer. And this can be, we can offer it as site training so that sites know how to conduct audits, because how many times have we gone into sites and they have nothing?
Right. Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Let's do music.
Okay, well, you pull that back. Oh, I'll be right back.
Yeah, let's do music. It's very healing. I almost canceled today because of you. Wanted to give you a break.
I think it's good that we're meeting, because it helps to center me back to what I actually want this shit to look like, because that's what I'm kind of trying to focus on right now, is what do I want this shit to look like? And, having brainstorming sessions with you two is what I want it to fucking look like. Having the, like, talking about how we're going to pull this together and being forward thinking about it is part of how I want it to look. And yep.
Yeah, I think there's value in getting together, and Jen has her idea, you have your vision, and we pull it together, and we plant the seed, and then I plant the seed. So
and because Jen and I have the Vulcan mind meld, we find very often that it's very aligned. Like, we've had a couple of conversations that I'm not trying to speak for Jen in this, but where we've both gone in a little trepidatious and been like, how the fuck is this going to be received? Only to find that we are very much on the same page about it, and been like, whoa, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I think these meetings, they're very important and healthy for a company.
Yeah.
Awesome. So these meetings will be like brainstorming meetings disguised as podcasts. The podcast is just for us.
Eventually, we'll have content to publish.
Okay.
You said you had editors, right, Janice?
I did. Yes.
They just didn't know it was going to be 20 hours over. Like,
Okay, I'm going to stop